Starting your lock or natural hair journey is oh so rewarding, but can be extremely stressful when you start to consider what products to use. If that's you, then look no further. Locklicious is a Black-owned company that has created an all-natural product line for locked and loose natural crowns. The Locklicious team works hard to ensure that their products are free of parabens, phthalates, sulfates, PEG, synthetics, and other toxic chemicals you find in other products. Best of all, the products are lightweight and will not leave residue or cause buildup. Go to locklicious.com to start treating your crown like royalty.
So a Staten Island parking lot is drawing attention for being the final resting place for what is estimated to be up to 1,000 former slaves. Now they say at first glance, they say the New York Borough parking lot looked like something that was normal. They had a Metro PCS store, a 7-Eleven. They say they had other businesses sitting on the corner of Forest and Livermore Avenue. They say, but as is the case, it said the more interesting story of the plot of the land lies a few feet beneath the surface. So according to historians, it said there's a lot that's the location of the only black burial ground on the Long Island North Shore. They say it goes back to the 1850s in the earlier 20th century, and it's a final resting place for generations of black people, a fact that has been hidden. They say, but one of the locals are still surprised to learn. Now, this is the thing. They have been places that we have been buried, and these people know this. These people know all the way around. They don't care. They will build parking structures. They will build neighborhoods. They'll build artificial lakes like Lake Lanier. And anybody know about Lake Lanier and all the things that happen at Lake Lanier? A lot of people say Lake Lanier is cursed. And rightfully, it should be cursed because those white folks had went over there and done the evil that they normally would do to black people. And then they end up putting a lake over that area. Well, those black people were killed and buried. This is nothing new. But you're going to find out more and more of this as time goes along because we live in the age of exposure. They have no respect for black people whatsoever. And that's why I hate to even see us as black people trying to get their respect, trying to get their validation. You will never, ever have it because in the culture of white supremacy, it teaches to hate you, especially black folks, okay? So they said this is specifically for black people. Some were slaves, some were the descendant of the enslaved, some were families, some were black American residents who never knew slavery. So they had not only our ancestors there, of course, but those that was outside of slavery there, but they still did not care. According to what this historian Patricia Salmon has stated. And they say the second Asbury African Methodist Episcopal Church and a cemetery were originally built on the land in the mid-1800s before the cemetery lands were deeded over to the African Methodist Church Cemetery of Staten Island, organized by the Second African Methodist Episcopal Church of the Staten Island in 1929. They say the city of Staten Island took possession of the cemetery, which was missing headstones since as early as 1913, and in 1950, due to $11,768 owed in back taxes. Let me tell y'all something. America is just wicked in what they have done to black folk. That little money, they took a whole cemetery from these people, right? This system is set up in a way to hurt and harm black people. And the moment that we figure out a way to start thriving in this system, they say, oh, hell no, them Negroes have figured it out. Let's go ahead and change some laws and let's make it more difficult. Now it's going to put them back to square one all over again. They have done this so many times. It's so many times they have taken land, hundreds and hundreds of acres of land from black people for literally nothing. Some of black folks was murdered and they just took their land. Some of them would, they have the deeds in the courthouse. They burn the courthouse down and say, oh, you ain't got a deed, so we're going to sell it to whoever we want to sell it to now. You know what I'm saying? When these people, that's why I told you I have no respect for them because they didn't build anything off of hard work. They didn't work hard for nothing. They still don't work hard for nothing because when black folks stop doing all the hard work, then they go get the Mexicans and anybody else of that descent, Latino descent, to go do their work next. So the plan is, in which they about to get played. They think, some of them think they know better. That's their new slaves from south of the border. Why do you think they let so many million of them come in here? Like, these group of people have never did any kind of physical work to build America. First, it was the black man and woman building up everything. And then we stopped building up everything for them. We stopped cooking for them, cleaning for them, taking care of their kids. Then the next thing they do is start importing people from south of the border because they don't want to work and do crap. You understand? So this is, once again, more history of how they steal from black people. Black folks can't even have a doggone cemetery. Now, they say it was sold in 1953 to Sadell Mann of the Bronx, and the land, as well as the history, has continually been developed over since the 1980s. Now, they say the development was protested by the Friends of Abandoned Cemeteries of Staten Island. However, the developer maintained that there were no human remains found at the location, which we all know is a lie. They say the city of New York also denied the existence of a legal cemetery, although several documents, including death certificates, burial records, and property maps, existed beyond that legal proof, and otherwise the cemetery existed on that property. The last known man born into the cemetery on Staten Island, they say Benjamin Perrine. He was one of the great numbers of those whose remains have been paved over in the lot, and the great-great-grandchildren's siblings, Ruth Ann Hills and David Thomas, who still live in the area, are heartbroken to know so many have been forgotten because they can care less about black folk. And we know this. Black people have never been anyone that you respect, revere, or honor. Black people are people that you can use. That's what you do to black people. They're only supposed to benefit white supremacy. That's it. Now, they say it breaks my heart. It's personal to me. He'll say it to the news and say, yes, it is. And I think it should be recognized that there are people there, my family members, etc. Right? So they say with historians, activist organizations, and documentaries shedding more light on the burial ground existence, efforts have been growing to preserve its legacy. One thing they're not going to do, they're not going to knock down a business district because of that. They're just not going to do it. You know, because the time to do it was a long time ago, and you know how these wicked people are, right? So they said it's about knowledge that the place is there, knowledge that the place exists, and knowledge that those people there have a value, right? They said the first black man to become a district leader on Staten Island North Shore who's working to put the cemetery back on the map. So they took the whole thing off the map. So he says the truth of the matter, it needs to be spoken about and something needs to be done about it. They said we're walking around eyes wide shut is right here. It said it makes me, it said think, it said it makes me shudder also to be excited about wonder what else is buried here. Oh, it's a whole lot of things buried there, brother. You better believe that. You better believe it. This is the thing. How many more cemeteries that we know nothing about, people going to malls and shopping centers, etc. You know, the area of Wall Street, that was a black town in that area. Central Park, that was a black town in the area. We're talking about New York here. We talk about black neighborhoods. Black people had towns. And it's not that Pookie and Ray Ray and the hood rats just messed everything up. No. The position that black people are in due to, with economics and what we have as land and wealth is due to the sabotage of the white supremacists. The reason why we talk about the white supremacists in the way we do, all these other groups that you look at coming into this country, no matter who they are, none of them have a story that white people went over to their towns and destroyed the whole thing. And every time they build something up, they destroy them. How many people in Chinatown could say white folks in mobs went over there and destroyed all of Chinatown? And every time they rebuild Chinatown, they destroy it. Or they figure out a way to finesse and take their land away from them in Chinatown. What about people that come from the so-called Middle East, that's Arab, right? They haven't had nothing taken away from them. Everybody comes in here and do very well in America. That's why everybody is running to get here, because they don't have to worry about mobs of white folks taking stuff from them. The worst thing they have to worry about for a lot of times is maybe ICE. Other than that, they're not worrying about too much. That's why I don't let nobody compare us to them. I said, when you lose what we have lost in the area of land, in the area of people, the blood, sweat, and tears that we have endured here. Show me the cemeteries of the different Asian people that they have just took the cemeteries from them and they built some shopping mall on top of it. This is the thing they have been doing to the black man and woman in this country. And this is why I'm a firm believer, and I'm always going to be hostile when it comes to other groups talking crap about black people, because you ain't suffered nothing that we have dealt with in this country. And anytime that you get tired of them or they start treating you just like they're treating us, I know y'all, you'll get yourself up and leave. You go back to where you come from. And that's one thing that you have that we don't. Yes, we have African descent, but what country can we really go to without going through a long process? And that's talked about as well. Now, that's a whole video in itself, right? But, these people are dealing with what they're dealing with in this country right now. And they have to pay for all of that. They knew exactly what they was doing. They all know what they was doing. And it's nothing but evil. But, leave me a comment. Let us think about the situation here. Just doing what they normally do. Desecrating graves, building things, lying, stealing, finessing, everything they can to black people. Then they want to look at black people talking about, well, why don't you have this? Well, if you pull yourself up by your bootstraps, well, how you going to pull yourself up by your bootstraps when you stealing the boots? Every time we get a boot, you steal it. You figure out a way to take it from us. Talking about hard work. Like I said, everything you guys come from stealing, raping, and pillaging. They say we can't compare to that. Thank you for watching, and make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out the African Diaspora News Channel app in the Google Play and Apple App Store. Colonization never ended in the white supremacist system. And as we see today, the colonization is in the mind. Now, those who have been enslaved and those who have been colonized, we're still dealing with the remnants of that through the colonization of the mind. Pick up my book, 7 Steps to Decolonize the Mind, and we will help deprogram you from the colonization that was put upon you by generations and generations of white supremacy. You can pick it up today on Amazon.com.